Joining us in studio this morning from Leadership Roswell Alumni Association, Amy McVay-Tellez is here with us. And also joining us, the 2022 Community Leader Award winner for Commitment to Youth, Tina Sisneros. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I should probably tell you probably need to let's grab this mic and put it in front of you there.
Is that better?
Yeah, now they can hear you better.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Well, yeah, I did screw up earlier. I said something wrong. That's why I did it. So I got my beatings and we're good to go. We left him, they use wet noodles so it wouldn't leave marks. Well, first off, congratulations.
Thank
I know
you.
this is, you and the other award winners probably this wasn't even on your radar, thinking about it or talking about it. You're just keeping your nose to the grindstone, doing your thing, and then Amy shows up one day and saying, by the way, we got you an award.
You couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have described it better, because that's exactly what happened.
I forgot how that happened.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Yes.
But that speaks of the caliber of the people. You know what I mean? It's just like yourself, Jason, certainly the Rogers family, and of course Margaret. They all of them aren't doing this for awards and things. They literally they have a passion like yourself for what you do, and what you do for Youth Challenge here is a big deal, and that's and especially over the last 2-3 years here with COVID, where Youth Challenge was pretty much shut down. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, it was shut down officially, but I'm sure yourself and others were behind the scenes reaching out to people, staying connected,
right?
Keeping people on the radar, keeping these kids from falling through the cracks here a little bit. That's kind of, and I imagine. That was weird.
They second the motion. Everybody's in celebration, man. All over.
That was weird. I was paused for thinking my next thing, and all of a sudden, but anyway, that's kind of true. But it's one of those things where your job got incrementally harder.
Definitely.
Because you couldn't. I mean, it's not that your day job wasn't easy to begin with, because I mean it's a hard job to help. Get these kids, to a better place, but it's very hard when you can't do it the way you guys, they can't come in, you can't sit in a classroom setting, they can't do any of the activities in person, but these kids don't stop growing, they don't stop maturing. That's happening regardless of what's going on in the world. So it doesn't matter if you can't see these kids or can't be with these kids. Still need these things to go, and so. Yourself and the staff at Youth Challenge, I mean, that was a Herculean thing. So I think you deserved this award long before COVID, but COVID kind of put it on people's radar, I think. You know what I mean? Is that pretty fair, Amy, 100%. To say that? I mean, 100%. Now I know you weren't the only one to nominate.
That's right.
Tina. There was other people, but
and a dear friend of hers, April Kirkham, we presented the award together.
So let me ask this: what was it that, like, when you two put your heads together and started talking? What were the things that y'all were talking about, Tina? To say, I know she's sitting right here, but I'm like, what was it that you said? This is why I think we should nominate Tina.
Well, I think one of the cool parts of this is that April Kirkham had been part of this organization for some time, had left, and came back. So I think I have been a dear friend of April's for many years, and once she got back, this communication started. So I think what it's all about, just a testament of the day that we set this up to inform Tina of this award, it wasn't just a couple of people. Once the inner circle found out, they all wanted to be there, and they knew she was coming onto the property. And I think another important part of this is she's no different than I. When we get an award like this, and I was the recipient last year, it's not about me getting the award last year. It's having the opportunity to pay it forward, if you will, and kind of pass the baton to someone I believe that's much more deserving than I. But it's important to say that we would love to consider ourselves a team. I've had the privilege of, if it was not for character counts in Travis County, I probably wouldn't. And through the hardest of times, when Tina and I really got close, is partnering and working with Judge Jones. And then after he died, in some unique way, even with Judge Jones being gone, he pulls people like us together. And I think we continue that legacy, which is it's really cool.
Well, and that's just it. I think people don't realize that, all four of our winners here, it's that rub-off effect where, and this is why we do these awards. This is why we embarrass Tina and embarrass these others and tell them,
because we're not picture takers. So for us to take a picture, that's a big deal.
Definitely. My staff knows I'm not about taking pictures.
And y'all know I'm not. So
well, and I'm the one who doesn't mind. I'm the ugliest dude in the room here. So what's going on? But anyway, but in some aspects, we do this because there's going to be the next people, the people in Youth Challenge, the people that were sitting in the audience last week, people that read the paper or hear these interviews. They hear that, as we honor Tina and all this hard work, but at the same time, we're also doing this is hopefully there's a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old listening to the radio, and they're the next Tina Sisneros or the next Margaret Kennard or the next Jason Perry or the next, Kay and Dale Rogers. That's what we want is to when we do this as much to honor, but it's also equally important is to inspire the next group to do what Tina does and to do what these folks do. I got to ask for you, obviously working, it's got to be nice to get back to somewhat normal now with Youth Challenge, right? You're seeing kids' faces again and actually people in the same room and doing actual Youth Challenge, what the Academy is there for. I mean, that's got to be nice to do at least most of those things again.
Yes. I'm not a phone person. I'm not a virtual person. I'm face-to-face. And so to me, I don't like teleworking. I want us to be all in the building and have cadets and business as usual.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works.
Well, and let's face it, because the kids that are going through the Youth Challenge Academy, these are kids that they're all good kids, but we all learn different. We all come from a different place. So to be honest, some of the tactics that were used, like Zoom and all this, these kids probably it's not an effective way to get to them. You gotta get in the dirt with them. These are kids that they're gonna buy into someone that's side by side versus someone standing over them telling them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Even as an adult, it's hard to have that self-discipline to sit there in front of the computer, even in a Zoom meeting.
Sure.
And not get distracted. So, as teens, it's even more so. They're having difficulty learning, whether it's because traditional school isn't working for them or they were behind in credits. So they need that structure and that discipline to be able to pay attention and learn. So,
absolutely.
Yes,
and I know part of, because Youth Challenge, it uses a military style of discipline and things. It's not Army boot camp, not even, it's way different. But there's some elements that are incorporated into that. And I know for that type of thing to work, it is that lead by example type mentality. So because these instructors, when they tell these kids, you need to do this, every single one of them will get in the dirt and do it with them. And that's the difference between, and you can't do that in a Zoom. You know what I mean? And so yeah, you're pushing the limits of these children, but you're going through it with them to say that you don't have to do this by yourself. And that's the message and it really sinks home better for these kids when you're in the room with them and you're doing it with them, not when you're talking about theory on a Zoom call. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
They'll just mute you or turn you off.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be into something that's more, interesting or something. And so it's so nice that these kids because let's face it, there's so much self-discipline required to navigate through Zoom. You're a lot of it's, parents are going to try to stay on task with your kids and everything, but at the end of the day, there's not a person in the room saying, all right, are you doing it now? No, you're not doing it now. Why are you not doing it now? And so you lose that element in Zoom. And trust me, my wife's a second grade teacher. She knows all about, she had a kid. She had a kid. Yeah, real quick, I got to tell this. She had a kid who, I guess he was bored or something, and literally right in the middle of a group thing just stood up and dropped trowel.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
So she's like isolating them into the other room and like, whoa, and then they have a thing. But,
And it's too late. You can't recover from that. You know?
No,
It's just-
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so she had one of those during the Zoom weird too. So I understand.
Well, fortunately, we haven't had that. But
You never
She's
know.
teaching second graders. So hopefully they're a little bit more mature by the time they come to you. So I'm curious, Tina, how did you end up at Utah? What brought you here? What was the path that got you there?
So I was, back in 2001, I was the GED instructor for ENMUR.
Okay.
Avon Wilson, who I know so many know and, was a dear friend to my family and a huge mentor. I was teaching GED classes for ABE and for Avon Wilson
Okay.
when she approached my husband, who was also a GED instructor, and said, they're bringing this program to Roswell, and it's for youth. And I said, I want to be a part of that. What about me?
Okay.
And so he started teaching 2001. And then so just shortly, I would go in and help him with his class, help tutor.
Okay.
And then, shortly after, just a few months later, she brought me in as a GED instructor. And here I am.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
So I'm curious, what's your favorite aspect of the job? Like, what's the part? Because every job, every career, there's hard days and there's great days. It doesn't
Right.
matter what you do for a living. There's always going to be those. But the great days are the days that make the bad ones get navigatable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So for you, what's those moments
Those
that
moments?
like what's the payday for you?
There's so many, but first of all, it's that, the light bulb turning on. As a
Gotcha.
GED instructor, as a
When they get
in
what you're trying
education.
to teach.
Yes.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, wow, I get it. The other thing is seeing them learn so much. We've had kids come in at a kindergarten level and get their high set or GED, in just 17 weeks, which is amazing. They didn't think they could. The other thing is just seeing the change.
Gotcha.
They walk in the first day and long hair and, sagging their jeans.
Sure.
Disrespectful, some of them, just, yeah, nah, and then at the end, it's like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
They're invested.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So that's what it is.
Yeah, it's that to see that evolution of the students
Absolutely.
from day one to when they're ready to graduate from the program. That's
I
great.
think that's my favorite part of their ceremonies is during the awards ceremony is y'all do such a great job of putting that into a video, and they do that first
The
picture.
transformation.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's hard to put it into words, but y'all do
Right.
such a phenomenal job
Well, and-
of that trans.
And you said something there that I think is when you talk about youth challenge or any like basic training, any of these style of environments, what makes them so awesome, and this is the part that, it's hard and tough and, it's not for everybody. I get all that. But what makes it so great is what you said at the beginning. They come in, got a little bit of an attitude that they don't even think they're even capable of graduating this thing or even caring to, not really going. And then when you go into that environment and the discipline, and you really, at the end of the day, it's breaking it down to its lowest common denominator and then building back up.
Exactly.
Slow. That's really at the end of the day what's going on. But because they have a little lack of confidence in their own abilities, and they all do, whether they mask it with an attitude or whatever, really they're trying to cover up something they're inadequate in. You know what I mean? So it gives them that, it puts that confidence back in them. Yes,
Right.
there's discipline, there's demands on them, there's structure, there's all of those things. But what you're doing is once they start getting through these hurdles, they start believing in themselves. They start realizing
Absolutely. Yes.
that wasn't above my level. I am able to walk that mile or whatever it is that they're asking me to do at that particular moment. I can do that. And here's the other part. It's never alone because they also teach that team concept. So when someone falters, the rest of the team is there to
Exactly.
come and help them. And it teaches those lessons in a way that puts them in a stressed, it's by design. It's there to put you in a stressed situation, not a life-threatening situation, a stressed situation, somewhere that it's not in their comfort zone, and they got to work together to fix that problem. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what Youth Challenge and all. I mean, yes, it's getting the GED and
Right.
and getting a career path, But the real problem we're fixing here is that ability to put confidence in yourself, the ability to work with others, and the ability to see things that aren't necessarily what you're used to, but can equally be helpful and effective. And seeing other ideas and seeing, I know I'm talking, I'm random, but to me, that's why it's so valuable. And this is why it's hard to have a Zoom meeting to do all this stuff.
Exactly.
But and that's why I think it's so great, because these are programs that really deal with kids that we call troubled kids or whatever. They just don't learn the same way. They didn't thrive in a classroom setting. They don't respond well to those types of teachings. Doesn't mean they're dumb or uneducated or not ability. They have all these. You have to present it in a way that they can understand it. And Youth Challenge does that in a way where you're dealing with attitudes, you're dealing with the walls that kids build up to protect themselves and to make sure that they're okay. You can use that to their advantage. Use it to, okay, now's the time to be tough. Now's the time to let your guard down a little bit. Now's the time to put your difference aside to get this here. Now, whatever the issues going on there, they learn the tools to do that. So when they graduate and whatever they go to, if they plan on going to college or plan on going right into the job force or whatever their future holds for them, they've got the tools to do that.
Absolutely.
And that's what's so great about the program and yourself and everyone that's involved with it. So I can see how that drew it to you.
Oh, definitely. And I can't see myself doing anything else. You know, it's just it's rewarding.
Sure. And you get to see, I think you get to see the biggest leaps and bounds in something like this, because, and I'm not saying all cases, but some of these kids, people have written off already. There's some people that have written off. There's people that kind of said, that they're no good, so-and-so, I wash my hands of it and move on. And when a kid has been kind of labeled that, and then you see them, excelling and becoming great, it's I don't care if only one kid out of Youth Challenge that happened to, then Youth Challenge is worth it. You know what I mean? There's a lot more than one kid that does that, thank goodness. But my opinion, it'd been success if 50 kids went through and only one kid that got through, then we call it a win.
That's right.
There's one more productive person that's going to be a great human being. So.
I think one part of the event the other night that was so special is Youth Challenge not only needed one table, but they needed more than one.
That's right,
and
you
I
did.
think her peoples, all your peoples, including her husband, which I think that's a neat facet, that a husband and wife works together in dynamic duo from the beginning.
And that works, right?
Yes,
good,
absolutely.
Because that doesn't always work for marriages. Sometimes it's a little too much of each other.
We've been married 37 years, so we've figured a few things out.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, I imagine some of the same skill sets you teach in Youth Challenge,
exactly.
or you're practicing in your own marriage, I'm guessing.
Think before you speak.
But it was the glow. Shelby and I talked about it when you register people. They had the glow. I mean, literally, a couple of them, they were all in. They were shooting in to honor this woman, and it's so amazing.
Well,
it's
and it does not surprise me that you guys had a half the tables there.
Have to fill up another table.
But it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's that team concept because you come together and I imagine the folks that were in the audience, they chewed a lot of dirt together, and with Tina and that builds a camaraderie, that builds a bond that you can't quite get unless you've been in it. You can kind of military, first responders, they share something. And it's a little different, but the same it comes from the same tree, basically. It's a little bit different because of the situations those people deal with. But as far as the kinship, that connection, it's that, you're with a group of people that if things get bad, I can trust them to be
exactly
on my six or got my back up.
Definitely.
And that's that mindset that these are people that you'll go through hell with, basically.
Yes. And that is absolutely true. I have the most amazing staff in cadre. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
They're the best. There isn't anything we wouldn't do for each other. We're family. We're Youth Challenge family. We're a challenge family. We're a challenged family sometimes. But we truly are,
Sure.
And then to have people like Amy and bring them into our Youth Challenge family, or
Absolutely.
Dr. Powell from the college.
Yeah. That's another thing, too. Yeah, you guys are with the character counts, with the college, even the Historical Society, which another hat here in the room. But yeah, it's all, it's separate, but all connected. And they all have their own mission statements and maybe, but at the end of the day, the mission statements are close to the same with the exception they branch out into their, the various details in there where the historical side of their focus on preserving history, character counts is, instilling those qualities of character into our classrooms and everything else. And obviously the mission statement with Youth Challenges probably lines right up with those 6 pillars as well.
Definitely.
And maybe even add a couple more offshoot pillars as well, too.
5 or 6.
Yeah. A few supporting pillars on the side there,
right.
too.
That's right.
But, that's great. So give us an update on Youth Challenge, where you're at right now. Are you guys getting ready, taking new classes soon? Or
So we just graduated on Saturday.
Okay.
Yes, we have a 3-week, I want to say break, but it's not really a break because our recruiters are busy out there bringing in applications. We start back up on the 17th with a full class and hopefully without any type of COVID restrictions.
Good deal.
This will be our first class without any type of restrictions where we can bring in as many kids
Hope it stays
as
that
we
way.
want.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is an election year, just saying.
Yes.
But things happen in election years, just saying.
But we're going to think positive.
Yes.
That's right.
Well,
so it's exciting.
So let me ask, is it too late to get in for this next
No.
class? There's still some room available?
There's plenty of room. Well, I shouldn't say there's plenty of room, but there's plenty of time is what I
Got
I
you.
thought you were gonna say.
There
There's
is
plenty of
time, and if you
Yes.
have that desire. What's probably the best way to start that project? Just reach out to Youth Challenge does the parent or the student or either one can do it?
Either one.
Okay.
They can reach out to anybody there at the program. They can give us a call. Someone's always there during working hours. The other thing they can do is just go to our website, nmyca.net.
Okay.
The application is electronic. All they have to do is fill it out, and then they'll get a phone call within 24 hours during the week.
Great.
If they apply on the weekend, Monday they'll get a phone call from a recruiter.
Excellent.
I
Then you
just
can-
had a question the other day, Tina. What's the age?
Yeah, the
somebody
requirements.
asked me.
16 to 18.
16 to 18.
Yes, 16 day one, excuse me. If they can turn 19 on the second day if they're 18. But on day one that they come into the program on the 17th, they have to be
Gotcha.
16 to 18.
When they sit in the classroom day one, they got to be 16 or
Right,
17.
when they walk in our doors. Day
Gotcha.
one.
So, is there any other prerequisites or requirements as far as what you can take and not take?
Okay, so you can't have graduated from high school.
Okay.
No GED or high school diploma. No felony convictions or current charges.
Okay.
Youth Challenge has evolved to where it's not. In the beginning we had more kids who were on probation. Anymore, we have this last class. We had, I think, 2 kids for very minor offenses,
Okay.
and that's all it can be.
Okay.
We can't take kids with anything more than maybe skipping school, truancy, something like that.
Okay.
Just minor, and typically we don't have any of those.
Okay.
The other thing is, let me see, 16 to 18 can't have graduated from high school, and no felony convictions
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
charges.
So really,
charges,
and
any
so,
charges.
and really, that's the thing. And by the way, this isn't just for kids that are like that kind. Like if you're struggling in school, maybe it's just
Any type of
schoolwork's
struggle.
not working for you.
Any struggle.
Yes.
We always assume, people assume it's kids with discipline issues, and like
it's not
that's
that.
not
Really
just
not.
it
Oh,
here.
no.
If school's not working, if it just doesn't, it's not registering. Maybe that maybe it's a study issue or a lack of just a discipline or responsibility
Right.
issue where they don't. It's not that they're bad; they just don't see the need to do homework and so they're not doing the assignments.
Yes.
And so maybe Youth Challenge can help with the building up the skill sets that will help this child do those things or be motivated or understand why they need to do these
And
things.
it's
Yes.
not just local, right?
No,
what
it's
I
throughout the
love.
state.
Yeah,
I
yeah. You
love
got
it.
kids from
All
all over the state
All
that come
over.
to Youth Challenge.
Yes.
There's kids. So if you know families in Santa Fe or Farmington or wherever,
Right.
they too can sign up for this next class here, as long as they meet those requirements.
Meet those
being
requirements.
16 or 17 or before, no longer not 18 by the time you day 2 of class there.
Yes, you can't be 19 day 1.
Day 1 of the
Yes.
class, yeah. Then you're good to go.
And they have to volunteer to come. They can't be court ordered.
Yeah, this is a strictly volunteer. Yes. This is
they can't be ordered by their parents.
It's not a scared straight program.
No.
That's what I want to tell people. This isn't like the kids going down the wrong path and we're going to scare them before this is none of that. You're not going to be spending time in jail, having inmates yell at them. None of that kind of stuff. It's not that kind of thing. This is it uses military style training where they get the instructors, make them do the military style where they, teaching the discipline, marching in formation, keeping all and I'm telling you, for folks that have never been in the military, it's a tool they use to teach them to pay attention to detail. What the logic is, because I went through an Air Force basic training, so I know I've been through it. I've done weird things for no reason. I've painted rocks when I was in the Air Force. Why? Who knows? Because some general wanted me to.
Because he looks so much prettier.
That's right.
But the logic behind it is they want you to put as much focus and attention on a trivial task like folding a T-shirt. And if you can pay as much attention to detail into that, then they can trust you to pay as much attention to detail into $1 million piece of equipment or something that's much more responsible for. And it's all to get you in that mindset to do that, and it'll rub off the rest of your life. I haven't been through basics in the last 30 years. But to this day, there's weird things I still do. Like, you don't catch me walking around town with stuff in my right hand very often, just because you have to keep it free for saluting. So by default, I walk around with my backpacks and everything on my left. It's just because I'm used to having to keep this free for salute. But just weird. Hey, I'm not saluting anybody today, but it's just a force of habit, or how you do your sock drawer at home. You start doing. I'm sure do you have a couple of these moves? I bet you do.
Well,
I bet you got a couple of T-shirts that are perfect 6-inch squares somewhere in a drawer.
I'm not prior military. I'm a civilian, so I don't have that. My sock drawer, I guarantee you, looks different than yours. My husband will attest to that.
But it kind of that's what the program's about. It gets you to pay those attention, and it also gets you to it's kind of, think of it as they're trying to make you stop and smell the roses sometimes. Really, that's what it is. And once you do that and you start focusing on the task at hand, you understand that these things are achievable. These things can be done. And I
think it's important to mention, because we've been on the receiving end a lot, is how community orientated they are. Whether it's
serving?
cleaning.
Yeah, they're always serving in the community.
They're all over.
Faithful servants throughout the community, whether it's holding the flag. And that was something else special. Thank you to New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy for bringing the color guard.
Yeah.
And how many times they bless it all over the community.
Yeah.
And whether it's picking up trash, they've helped us set up for the heritage dinners, and all of those fun things. I can't tell you how, on the receiving end, what a blessing it is, how community mind.
They look sharp in the
love
uniforms, too. I was kind of, it was funny because they had the masks on for COVID.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, when they have the silver helmets and the masks on, I don't know how much of a Star Wars fan you are, but the scene where they're about to fire the Death Star to blow up the planet, and they got that guy that fires the gun, and he's got that mask with the helmet, he goes like this or something? They all look like that guy.
They look so sharp. They do.
But it was pretty cool. Just because they had the mask on, and when the silver helmet with the mask, you could barely see their face. It was just like this little slit. And so it reminded me of those guys on Star Wars. But anyway, but they look sharp.
But you talk about them being able to be trusted with $1 million piece of equipment or something like that. Well, one of the things that I think about more so often is they're the ones who are going to be in charge of our lives eventually.
Yes.
I think about myself in a nursing home at some point. Hopefully my husband won't put me in there, or my kids won't. But, really I think about, they're the ones who are taking care of our loved ones.
They're making the decisions for us. They're our next mayors and business owners and city councilors and senators and all of that stuff. They're the next generation of this, and we got to give them the tools to make the right decision down the road. That's that. And let's face it, we live in a world where I wonder if certain things like critical thinking and some of these skill sets that I don't know if we take for granted per se, but certain generations that was just, it's a staple in our. I don't know if that's true for some of these other generations. And some of it's our fault, some of it's just the world we live in and technology and things. It's a cocktail of a lot of things here, but either way, I think these generations are missing some of those interpersonal communication, the problems, critical thinking, some of the things that we got by default because of the world we live in now is changed because everyone talks in 140 characters or less.
Yeah, exactly. Which they're not able to do while they're at Youth Challenge. You know, they don't have access to phones. They don't have access to social media unless they've earned that.
I imagine that's the biggest gripe you have in all of Youth Challenge. Like everyone's complaining, because kids, part of it is as a group, they do things, but they also complain as a group. Like I'm not saying it's an us versus them, but when they're all thinking something sucks, there is kinship in that, and so they become friends because they all are mad that they can't use their phones.
Yes, exactly.
there is a method to that madness.
I think we all need some Youth Challenge, taking that away. We do,
Yes.
right?
I'm trying to think. It's like, can y'all take my phone away and give me a doctor's note
all high
not to have
schoolers
it?
need that.
Yeah.
Well, I just asked one of our graduates on Saturday. I told her, I said, I don't know how we live without our phone anymore. And she says, ma'am, I just did it for 18 weeks. And I'm like, touche.
Isn't that amazing?
Valid point.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And after a while, that just became their new.
And let's
norm.
face
I
it,
think
we
it's
lived
so awesome.
we lived a few years on this earth before we had those phones.
Yes.
Some of us a little more than others,
One or
but
two.
Yeah. Careful into it. That's right. Yes.
But we did just fine.
Exactly.
And it's true.
Life was so much easier and more peaceful. And
we can do a lot of things
Yeah.
if you
We
put your
really
mind to
can.
it. We can, and that's what Youth Challenge does. And that's really at the end of the day, it's not about getting a GED. It's about giving them that tool to say,
Yes.
you know what, the world is your oyster if you're willing to go out and grab it. And here's how you do that. And that's really what it is. At the end of the day, the piece of paper saying they got a GED is nice and all of that. It's that you need that to move on to the next level. But that piece of paper is not the important thing. It's those skill sets that they
life
learn in that
skills and-
group that's going to translate for 20 years down the road. They're running the Historical Society, or they're out
Running
on the
Youth
weekends
Challenge.
running Youth
Yes.
Challenge, or running the parade group out here.
Right.
That's going to be them. So. Good deal. Well, we're running out of time. Just saw the time here, but
Can I, before we
yes,
get off,
yes.
I'm honored to sit next to Tina, and I consider her a friend. I want to encourage people listening to lift Youth Challenge up. Pray for those kids that just graduated.
Yeah.
And pray for this new cycle.
Absolutely.
What's a full cycle, Tina? I don't remember.
We're
I hope
looking to
y'all
bring
are
in
full.
150 kids.
Okay, let's pray for that.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
let's pray for 150. But I want to just mention names of 4 amazing individuals that we at the Historical Society had the privilege of giving scholarships to.
Oh, yeah.
And we pivoted, right? We pivoted. Couldn't hand them the award. But we did that through Zoom, and it was special. Jason Garcia and Jane Anglin, I bet they're both listening, were part of our committee, and we had others. But we were able to give 4 scholarships. A huge shout out to Bryce and Matthew Parker that received a $500 scholarship. Alana Rose Vallejos, $500. And we had 2 amazing cadets receive a $1,000 scholarship. That's Phoenix Smith, and then Aiden Enrique.
Nice.
I don't know how to say his
Do you-
last.
Taruga. Is it Taruga?
It's a
Archiaga Taruga.
Archiaga.
Oh, cool.
So shout out to them, and I'm so
Yes.
thankful and honored to work with Tina and them doing.
Do you know some of their plans after Youth Challenge? Have
a
they shared them
couple
with you?
of
Are going to the military.
Okay.
Yes. The other 2, I believe, are going to college. One's going to college here, and the other one back in Hobbs.
And Miss
Awesome.
Tina, I
Good for
would be
them.
honored. We'll try to follow up with them, and when they get enlisted or something, maybe because we've had some of those our scholarship recipients on the radio. I'd love to get
Yeah,
one.
get them on.
We have a local one too. We have
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
So we'd love to get to hear
Yes.
from them.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful, and thank you, Tina, for allowing us to be. I mean, he's on our board too. We're just thankful to have a little part of this.
Absolutely.
A little part of
Yeah.
this greatness out there. At New
Well, we
Mexico Youth
appreciate all of you and are truly, truly blessed to have you all.
Well, and you're the reason why that you and the staff there at
Amen.
Youth Challenge. We congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you. I know you're going to be here. Just keep doing your thing, and I'm sure more awards should be coming down the road here. But look for next year here too. This is one I kind of want to use this as the pedestal for next year too, and say, this is something Leadership Roswell Alumni Association does every year.
Yes.
We finally got to do it the normal way this year, and that's a great thing. But we really honored 3 years of great people. You mentioned Jane Eglin earlier. No, she won last year as another.
Right.
She Outstanding Award.
Yeah,
I think she was
outstanding
outstanding. These are just year after year great people, and there's going to be another batch next year.
That's
and
right.
so
That's right.
please keep be on the lookout in
the
your
batons need
neighborhoods
to
and
be passed on.
at your meetings here, in your church groups, and at school. Be on the lookout for those people
on the
that are just
lookout.
kind of being above the rest out there. Maybe it's a commitment to youth person like Tina here. Maybe it's more of an overall person like Jason Perry. Maybe it's someone like the Rogers family have been
The
doing this long
lifers.
before you've been on this earth, and they've been doing this kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
That's the
And I
kind
want to
or
encourage
Margaret. That's
I want to encourage people to get more involved with Youth Challenge. There's so
Yeah.
many ways you can get involved.
Yes, we're always looking for mentors.
okay.
Our
So
cadets need mentors.
like volunteers and things to come
yes.
out and work with the kids and things.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to see that's available.
Whether
Yeah.
it's additional scholarship, their foundation, or just helpers,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, and then we also partner with the Literacy Council, so they come out and tutor. Jane England is
Miss
one of our
Jane,
tutors.
Miss
Yeah.
Jane's a tutor.
So if anyone wants to help tutor, I'm sure they can reach out to
Yeah.
Roswell Literacy
Yeah,
Council.
Literacy Council does a lot of
Awesome.
great
That's
work over
awesome.
there. I talk to them usually once a month or so too. And
That's awesome.
that's one of their big things right now is going over to Youth Challenge and
Yes.
talking with them. So, by the way, if you need help as an adult or anything, go reach out to them. They're ready and waiting for looking for folks.
That's right.
English as a second language, to citizenship, to your GED,
So many.
just to be more proficient reader, to get to a grade level that you're more appropriate to your age.
Right.
They can help with all that free of charge, by
Yes,
the way.
that's great.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Yay.
As always,
you so
thank you,
much.
Amy, for
Thank
putting
you.
putting Tina on our radar here, and
That's
you
a
and
blessing.
you were the other nominees. She wasn't the only one that nominated you, by
That's
the way.
right.
That's kind of usually a good clue. Like if
Yes,
more than one person nominates someone, then you're like, all right, maybe there's something to this one, But yeah, we do appreciate it, and I'm sure you're going to be doing this as long as they let you, and
Yay.
until you find the next big passion project.
There.
for you,
Well,
so.
I've been here for 21 years, so I maybe the next big
Those
passion
roots are pretty
project
planted right now.
is retirement.
Retirement.
Not for a while. So,
But please, by the way, real quick, want to mention the next class for Leadership Roswell is we're now taking applications. You can get them at the Chamber of Commerce. Actually, Amy brought some here to the
brought some
office,
here.
so if you want to pick one up here.
And you can stop by the museum.
Yeah,
Stop by the
museum's
Circle
got
Side.
'em.
We have copies.
Deadline to get those in is July 31st. You got to turn them back into the Chamber of Commerce by close of business on the 31st. It does take a little time to fill this out, so don't just whip it out in 10 minutes and put it in. Take some time to think. They want to crack into your brain a little bit and get an idea how you think and things. So we picked the right 30
It's
for
a
the
lot
next
of fun.
class here. So,
Make time for
absolutely,
that.
but
Make time.
come by here or the chamber and get an application.
And if you're an alumni individual get involved with us, even if you haven't been for a while. Contact our alumni association to get more involved too.
we got like over 30 years of them, so there should
That's
be enough
right.
of them.
Come on. That's true. That's true.
30
We should
times
be the
30.
biggest
I don't know your
board.
math that well, but that's a lot of alumni.
It is. That's right. You're right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Thank you.